Today, we're going over 4 of the most common mistakes that I see practically every single person make when they begin their journey in AI automation. I got inspired to make this video because I've done well over 100 consulting calls, and it occurred to me at some point in time that I just see everyone making the same 4 mistakes over and over and over again like clockwork. And I have these calls every single week. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make one standard video to go through every single one of these mistakes because these trip people up. And it's not just like a 5-minute mistake. Sometimes it's a day mistake, a week mistake. I have people literally I've had people crying on the phone because we solved these problems and they only take like 5 minutes to solve. And today, what I'm going to be doing is setting a timer for 10 minutes. We're going to go through all 4 of these incredibly fast so that you do not have to spend the days, weeks, or months trying to figure this stuff out. With that being said, the 10-minute timer starts right now. The first one that I want to talk about is using ChatGPT as regex code. So let me give you a good example here. Let's say you have an AI agent and this AI agent has like unstructured data. This could also be like an email too. I get a lot of email leads coming through and you have like all this data like John, Smith, and email. The problem is that this is just one message and we need to pull out this information like their actual name and contact information and then insert that into tabular data inside a Google spreadsheet just like this. And so how do we do that? The solution is using ChatGPT. So let me explain how this model works here. Firstly, I'm going to walk through this scenario. We have just generic data. Again, this is just generic information. And again, this could be like an email. It could also be a PDF. A lot of the times people will extract data from PDF and then need to pull out certain things from that PDF file. And we need to get that into Google Sheets. So how we do that is through this module right here. I'm just going to first run this particular module so we can see incoming data here. So we have the text here and we need to pull it out and pass it into the output here. Okay. And so how this works, if we look at the JSON data where we're pulling out unstructured text and we're putting it into structured data, first name, John, last name, Smith, email, johnsmith@gmail.com, message, whatever. We're getting this data and then we can use that data to pass in or map by just dragging and dropping it in. So how did we get there? Well, we got there by using 3 messages inside ChatGPT. So the first one, I'm going to break this down. There's 3 messages. One is the system. It's the context. Okay, it's providing additional information. So for this instance, it's saying you're an intelligent bot at pulling out information from text, like first name, last name, email, and message. Then we have the user message, which is the input message. So what we're passing in here is the actual unstructured text, which we can see here that we actually want to extract data from. And then we have the assistant message over here, which we define the output. We're defining it as JSON data that we can actually extract this text from, okay? And so more or less in a nutshell, how this works, because this is the secret formula, is we first of all make sure that the output content as JSON is turned on, and then we have the data in this particular structure. If you guys don't know how to generate this particular structure, no problem. All you have to do is go to ChatGPT and type in a message like this. Please create me JSON data with the following variables, first name, last name, email, and phone number. Maybe it gets it right in the first time. In this instance, it didn't because it gave me 3 different people. So I followed up with the prompt and said, hey, I only want one person and don't put anything in the value section, which is the green text. And then it gave me this. I copied this and then I went into my scenario and I pasted it right in here. And then from these 3 messages here, it allowed me to export this as JSON data to map into this Google Sheets module right here. I'll include this in the description so that you guys can use it. The next thing here is watch changes in Google Sheets. So what happens if we want to turn this into an interactive dashboard where all of a sudden, let's say we check a box here, and when we check this box, maybe we want to send off John Smith an email. Well, we can check a box and we can pull in everything from this particular row, which is row 2, such as the name, last name, email, and message. And so how we do that is we use the second scenario down here, which is starting from a webhook. So I'm going to activate this. We want to add a webhook inside n8n, okay? We're going to send data from Google Sheets when we check this box here into this webhook. How this works is we go into extensions and app script. Now, this might sound complicated because it's saying app script and there's a ton of code here, but it's really simple. I'm going to include in the blueprint section down below all of this text, okay? And all you have to do is just copy and then paste it in here, and then we're good to go. Now, secondly, we need to actually add in our webhook URL that we're sending data to. We just need to make sure the quotations are there. Once we come into our webhook and we turn this to a post request, meaning that we're sending data from from Google Sheets into n8n, it will receive the data, and we change this, we grab this URL here, and we paste it inside our change webhook URL. We save this, and then finally, what we're doing is we're creating a trigger here. Now, with this trigger, what's going on is we want to define when we actually send the data from this Google Sheet into n8n, and we want to send it when we update something. This is updating a cell here. This is updating a cell here. This is also updating a cell here. Technically, anytime we do any change for whatever reason, anytime on the Google Sheet, we want to send data. And so that is where this trigger comes into play here. So we add a trigger. My face is blocking this, but there's an add a trigger box here. We hit that. And then once we're inside this, we just want to essentially click on edit here, click save. It'll ask you to log into your Google account. You log in, it might give you an error saying, hey, you're not a verified app developer. You just click proceed and connect it in. And then once you've done both of those things, now we can listen on our webhook inside n8n. Anytime we send anything, it's going to receive the data inside our particular scenario here. Cool thing about this is we know the column start and row start of the data we changed. So if this is the data we changed, column is D, row is 9. We have all the corresponding row information from that change as well. So for instance, if we were to change this checkbox here, we'd have all of the data in that row corresponding to that particular user. And so in a nutshell, how this works is that when we send data, it will start this workflow. We can have a filter here, and this filter will check for two conditions to be true. The first condition is, did we enter in information in column E, because we don't want to fire this off at any point in time. Only if the data that we changed is in column E, we want to make sure that we only fire this off when this is checked true. And we know it's true because the checkbox means true. If it's unchecked, it means false. So those are the two conditions. Anytime the checkbox is checked and it's in column E, then we can do things like, for instance, send an email off to somebody. And then we just have our Gmail function here. Moving past that, the third thing that we have here is an HTTP request. Now, before we dive into HTTP requests, just know on the integrations page inside n8n, all of these nodes are HTTP requests. The only difference between Slack, Google Sheets, and Telegram and an HTTP request is that the n8n team has actually developed integrations for Google Sheets, whereas you have to develop the HTTP requests yourself. So let's say that we want to develop an HTTP request for something like 11 Labs to generate voice AI. I can type in 11 Labs up top in the URL here, and I can do API documentation. It's going to take me directly to their API docs here, and all we have to do is find the specific API documentation. How we do this is sometimes on a page, it'll take us like docs or conversational AI. We just want to find the API reference. We'll choose that, and then we can go to the endpoint, which is essentially saying we send data to somewhere, and depending on where we send data to, it does different things. One might create speech from text. Another might create text from speech or change the voice. We want to create speech, so we can choose text to speech and create speech. Now on the right-hand side here, we have something called a curl request. All this is doing is it's saying, here's an example of what that HTTP request should look like. If you format it like this, it's going to work. All we have to do is take this example, hit that copy button over here, and then come back into our scenario, look for the import curl, and copy or paste the entire curl that we received inside 11 Labs into n8n, hit import, and this whole particular HTTP request is going to be completed with the exception of just one thing, which is the authentication. Now, this doesn't provide a way to authenticate. What authentication is you can think about is a password. Essentially, you need to log into your account and verify who you actually are so that 11 Labs doesn't just give somebody else access to your account. And so how we do that, and usually, by the way, authentication is incorporated in this curl request, but for whatever reason with 11 Labs it's not. They have their own authentication tab. We can click here and essentially, in a nutshell, we could do the exact same thing. We could import this curl into another HTTP request and copy it. So I'm going to go ahead, copy this. I'm going to duplicate this HTTP request, and then we're going to import the curl one more time. And I want to see, because we have two different requests when we need to merge them in together, I want to see what this difference is so that I can just simply copy and paste in n8n, take away all of the guesswork and not have to think super hard about this. We can see the distinction is the headers are turned on and we have this xi-api-key. We're going to go ahead, copy that, go into our main HTTP request, turn on the headers like we had in the other example, put the xi-api-key, and then we just need the value over here. And this value we're going to find inside our 11 Labs account. If you haven't done so already, you can sign up for free if you want to test this out. We'll go into the settings here. We'll go into the API keys and create a new API key. It's called Enduring Sparrowhawk. We'll create that, copy this, and then paste that into the value section here. We can test this out and we'll receive a voice back. We'll view it and preview this.
The first move is what sets everything in motion.
Perfect. And lastly, what we're going to do here, and keep in mind too, I just want to point out, because this is super important, we have these methods here. Method is a technical way of saying what kind of request we're making. Post is to create something. Think about like your CRM or think about Google Sheets. Post is creating a new row here or creating a client in your CRM. And then updating is taking an existing client in the sheet and then updating it. So I could update John's birthday here and put in like a date. Okay. And so that is put, you're just updating. Get is retrieving information. So I could be like within n8n, I want to get information from Google Sheets, and then I could pull data. Like I could pull this entire row, for instance, and find that information in Google Sheets, retrieve it back in n8n, and then be able to take things like their email here, for instance, okay, and then send off an email in Gmail based on the email I found in Google Sheets. And then lastly, delete is delete. Moving on to the fourth is JSON Data. This one is a bit complex, and this I see literally every single call, every single person without exception makes this, and so for that reason I wanted to put this in here. It also happens to be one of those things that most people like to tune out because it's kind of boring and technical and dry, but ultimately with JSON data, it's probably the most important thing most people should learn because it is the thing that holds them back the most. So I'm not going to go into it super in depth, but I will have a video that you guys can watch. Essentially, JSON data is how you structure data inside n8n and really just the backbone of the web in general. This is what it looks like over here in this particular code. In a nutshell, you can store and transfer data in between nodes in n8n. So if we kind of open this up, this is kind of, I'm just going to pull this particular trigger down here and add this into this add this trigger into this workflow, activate it and run it. Okay, we have another workflow activated. So we're going to test this out and it's still not working. Okay, let's try that again. So we've ran this. This is JSON data on the side here. This is all JSON data. Why this is important is because come into Google Sheets here, we can move things over. This is how we map things. This is all JSON data under the surface, okay? And so why this is problematic is because we have different data types in JSON. We have strings here, or text. We have numbers. We have Boolean, which is either true or false, but it can never be anything else. Are you verified or are you unverified? That is it. We have objects, which you can think of like a Google Drive folder. You know it's an object because it has a curly brace on the start, and the end and everything in between there is like your Google Drive folder, an assortment of random information. It could be a Google Sheet, Google Doc, it could be a image, it could be a video. In this instance, we have like a Google Drive folder, if you will, on contact information. We have the email, we have the phone number in here. These are both text fields. This object could be like a string values, number values, Boolean objects. And then we have lastly arrays. We know an array is a list of information, like going to the grocery store, for example, and buying bananas, apples, and mangoes is a grocery store list that you go to the grocery store with. In this instance, we have a list of different interests for Alice. She's interested in AI, automation, and cycling. Okay, why this matters is because different data types like numbers and text interact with data differently. So for example, in math, if you did 2 plus 2, it equals 4. But if you did 2 plus 2 in text, it equals 22. Those are two completely different outcomes that you'd expect, okay? And similarly with text, if I put hello plus Jono, it would be hello Jono. And so that is something you'd expect in text, but it's completely different outcome when it comes to math. And so just as a recap here, this data functions completely differently. If I open this up, you can see that this is screaming at us. It's saying, hey, we've got errors here. You need to solve these errors. The reason why it's saying this is because these are different data types. Now all of a sudden we have conflict where in this instance, we have this A, which stands for text, and this number, which stands for number. And we're trying to verify if a condition is met in this filter over here. And so we're saying, hey, this verification, which is right here, which is Boolean, is equal to text true. But text true and Boolean true, while they look the exact same, they're completely 100% different. And until we change this, it's going to draw an error. So if we test this step out, for instance, it's going to say, hey, we're drawing an error. True in Boolean is not true in text. But if we change this for an instance to Boolean is equal to true, and then we tested it, now that error goes away because we have fixed this. Now the data type Boolean here and Boolean there are completely correct. The next thing here is very similar. We have text. We know it's text because it has the A, and we're comparing it to a number here, which is not the same. We cannot have a string with greater than or equal to. And so how we'd fix this one is just by choosing the convert types where required, select that, and it's going to merge this text into a number. So it's going to align the two data types so that they're on the same page. It's going to either align them as both text or both numbers, so that now when we test this, we're going to not encounter any errors anymore. And so with JSON data, just transitioning between data types can cause so many errors. It's the silent errors that you often don't see, but take the days, weeks, and months to figure out. And this is something that not only do I see every single person make, but it's also the ones that cost the most amount of time trying to solve, because a lot of the times it doesn't even give you a definitive answer as to why you're encountering the error. So you just get stuck. And so those are the top 4 AI automation mistakes or errors that I see people encounter all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found value in it. If you did, I highly recommend, and if you did and you want to learn more about AI automation, I highly recommend taking a look at my school community here, where we go. This is like a deep dive into all things related to AI and automation with 2 transformative outcomes here. Number 1 is for people looking to automate up to 80% of their business. And I just give you the exact blueprints that I use to automate everything, replace myself from a job, and also scale into a 7-figure business. And then the second thing is for people looking to create AI automation agencies, give you the exact roadmap that's worked for me. Thank you guys so much. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one.